Dime, háblame tú, esencia misteriosa de nuestra raza, tras de tantos siglos, hálito creador de los hombres hoy vivos, a quienes veo por el odio impulsados hasta ofrecer sus almas a la muerte, la patria más profunda. Cuando la primavera vieja vuelva a tejer su encanto sobre tu cuerpo inmenso, ¿cuál ave hallará nido y qué savia una rama donde brotar con verde impulso? ¿Qué rayo de la luz alegre, qué nubes sobre el campo solitario hallarán agua cristal de hogar en calma, donde reflejen su irisado juego? Háblame, madre, y al llamarte así digo que ninguna mujer lo fue de nadie como tú lo eres mía. Háblame, dime una sola palabra en estos días lentos, en los días informes que frente a ti se esgrimen como cuchillo amargo entre las manos de tus propios hijos. No te alejes así, ensimismada bajo los largos velos cenicientos que nos niegan sus anchos ojos bellos. Esas flores caídas, pétalos rotos entre sangre y lodo, en tus manos estaban luciendo eternamente desde siglos atrás, cuando mi vida era un sueño en la mente de los dioses. And then in the final stanza, he's got all these rhetorical questions that actually he's not addressing to anyone. Yeah, but it's rhetorical questions that show that he is a bit resentful towards his country. Aquel amor primero, so that love to his language, to his country, to his place. ¿Quién lo vence? Yeah, there is no way, no one can win over that. Your country, your homeland, will always be your homeland. That will never be displaced. Tierra nativa, más mía cuanto más lejana. So he's wondering, do I love Spain as much because I am actually far away? I've loaded another poem on Dropbox that actually doesn't have a translation into English. It's the Díptico Español. And the poem is so long that I didn't have time to translate it. I'll try my best to do it towards the end of this week if I can. I'll give it a go. But that poem is incredibly interesting because it's divided in two. Okay, let me try to find it so that I can guide you through it. Actually, I don't think I put it in the PowerPoint, did I? No. Okay. Let me try to find it in my... okay, page 4. Okay. I just want you to tell you a little bit about this poem because it's divided in two parts, and the first part is called Es lástima que fuera mi tierra, which could be translated as what a pity it was my homeland, or you know, I wish it wasn't my homeland, almost. And he talks about Spain, how it's in this poem where he says, I wish I could become something that's not the Spanish, but I'm tied to Spain through the language. He says, I'll read the stanza in Spanish and says, or one of the stanzas, si yo soy español, lo soy a la manera de aquellos que no pueden ser otra cosa. Y entre todas las cargas que al nacer yo el destino pusiera sobre mí, ha sido esa la más dura. No he cambiado de tierra, porque no es posible a quien su lengua une hasta la muerte el menester de poesía. So, if I'm Spanish in the same way that people cannot be anything or can be nothing else. And actually, the most cruel thing that destiny has for me is being Spanish. That's what he says. I was born in there, and that means that my fate is being Spanish. I haven't changed. He says, no he cambiado de tierra, which I don't know how to translate, but basically meaning my homeland hasn't changed, yeah? Because you cannot change your homeland when language ties you to it until you die through poetry. Apologies for this rude translation of Cernuda's poems, but he's talking about this, how he hates Spain because they have embarked in a war that has damaged absolutely everyone on both sides, where no one can be free. He says that he has had to go into exile, how he has had to learn to be a man. He says, he aprendido el oficio de hombre. It's almost like being like it's a sort of job. Yes, it's something that you have to work towards. So he says, he aprendido el oficio de hombre duramente, because he has had to deal with solitude, exile, rejection, etc. But then the poem has a second part, and it's titled Bien está que fuera tu tierra. Like, how amazing that you were born in Spain. And in the second part, actually, he doesn't talk about Spain. He talks about the memories he acquired as a child of Spain through literature. So he said, I was reading Galdós as a child, and I learned about this wonderful country, this amazing language, this beautiful way of being, all through books. So it's almost as well. He does say that he cannot, that he needs to. He's a Spanish because his language ties him to the land. But it's almost as if it's literature. Yes, the tool that actually the most powerful tool in deciding his destiny. And he ends the poem saying, the real Spain for you, it's not that depressing and obscene Spain of today, which is governed by useless people. The Spain that is important to you, the real Spain, the one that is noble, that is alive, is the one written in books. And it's that cures me, that makes me, that allows me to survive. De aquella nos consuela y cura esta. So it's almost as if, he's got this contradiction of what he thinks Spain is and what the reality is. La realidad y el deseo. It's all about the title of his poems. This bitterness towards Spain, towards the fact that he was not recognized as a poet, but the desire to be so. So I think that he would be incredibly happy to have us all here talking about his poetry so many years afterwards. And actually, if you go to Seville, you can trace his footsteps. Actually, the house where he was born is going to become a museum. So you can visit his home, and you can visit the house where he actually wrote his first book, El Perfil del Aire. The title of that book was inspired by the actual road. So it's Calle del Aire. So if you go to Calle del Aire, it has a beautiful mosaic saying, en esta casa vivió el gran poeta Luis Cernuda. And so obviously, I've been there loads of times taking selfies of myself in his home, but I've gone a step further. I've gone to Mexico to visit his tomb. And I've sat by the tomb just reading his poems, and that was one of the most beautiful experiences of my life. But that's something else. Okay, I think I uploaded in the PDF. Do you have access to the PDF? The poem is very, very long. Okay, so you can read it. You can read it at home, but it gives you the same sense. This contradiction between reality and desire, how he imagines Spain to be and what he finds Spain to actually be now, how he sees Spain as actually his mother, how he cannot fight about that, and how men are the ones destroying Spain, basically. So if you go to the very, very last stanza, que por encima de estos y esos muertos, y encima de estos y esos vivos que combaten, algo advierte que tú sufres con todos, y su odio, su crueldad, su lucha ante tíbanos son como sus vidas, porque tú eres eterna y solo los creaste para la paz y gloria de su estirpe. So almost seeing Spain as blameless maybe in here, and seeing men as the ones to blame. But we do see this bitterness that characterizes his vision, how men don't have the necessary sensitivity, let's say, to deal with this motherland. Almost. Okay, we are obviously running out of time. Monday is our very last session, okay? And on Monday, who knows what will happen? I've got loads of ideas. We'll see if they come to fruition or not. We might have a couple of special guests. We'll see. But we'll see how all these poets that we've seen have influenced poets nowadays. So we will be reading, I'll upload a few poems by Luis García Montero. Right. Okay, so I'll upload some poems from this book, The World So Often. The couple of poems that I wanted you to read are actually not included in the translation, so I'll upload the Spanish versions and I'll translate them myself in a traducción cutre, okay? So there will be those poems for sure, and we'll see how García Montero talks relentlessly about all the poets of the post-war period and talk and discusses very openly how much they have influenced his poetry and the way he sees life. And it's very fitting that we read Luis García Montero, considering that he's the director of the Instituto Cervantes globally. So we'll do that, and then I'm hoping that we'll have contributions for another couple of poets that will tell us as well, and will explain to us actually where their influences come from and what these authors that we've been looking at have taught them. So what the fathers, the grandfathers, the great-grandfathers, literary grandfathers that they have, what they have added to their creation today. So it will be an exciting day. Okay, thank you so much. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you all on Monday for the very, very last session.